Capricorn, there is a fire inside you that no wind has ever managed to put out. A secret strength buried so deep, even you have questioned why it keeps rising after every fall. They looked at you and saw only a human being, but heaven saw a warrior wrapped in ordinary skin. This is why the storms came. This is why the nights were so long. Not to destroy you, but to reveal what no one else carries. This weapon in your spirit was not shaped in comfort. It was carved out in the silence where no one applauded you. It was forged when doors closed, when people left, when life itself whispered, "You will not survive this." And yet, you did. Capricorn, you have walked through fires that would have turned others into ashes, but you came out carrying something invisible, something untouchable, something even the enemy cannot steal. Before we go any further, write this in the comments as your banner of victory. I carry heaven's weapon. Write it boldly, because as this message unfolds, you will finally understand why life could not break you, why destiny kept fighting for you, and why this weapon belongs only to you. Stay with me until the very end, because once you see it for what it truly is, Capricorn, you will never question your strength again. The secret only heaven knew. Capricorn, long before you ever opened your eyes for the first time, heaven had already written a plan for your life. A plan that was never ordinary. A path that was never going to be simple. You see, when you were born, life marked you differently. Others carried dreams, but you carried assignments. Others walked through open fields, but you were sent into valleys that felt too heavy for one heart to handle. And you have asked yourself so many times in silence, why me? Why do I face battles that seem bigger than my strength? Why do I carry weights that no one sees, pains I cannot explain, responsibilities that feel larger than my years? The answer, Capricorn, was never in the chaos around you. It was always in the silent plan of heaven. Because heaven was not punishing you. Heaven was preparing you. When you cried in the dark where no one could hear you, when people betrayed you and walked away as if you were nothing, when doors closed, opportunities vanished, and the road ahead looked empty. It was never the end. It was the shaping of something rare inside you. Capricorn, there is a story told in whispers, a story about a soldier who was trained far from the eyes of the world. No cheering crowds, no applause, no medals to hang on his chest, just long nights under a cold sky, walking paths filled with danger, learning to survive where others would fall. He didn't understand at first. He thought life had forgotten him. He thought he had been abandoned to loneliness, to battle after battle with no reward in sight. But what he didn't know was that every step, every scar, every tear was building something the world could not see. It was building a weapon not made of iron or steel, a weapon forged in silence, a weapon no human hand could ever take away. Capricorn, that soldier is you. You have walked through valleys others would never dare to enter. You have faced storms that could have broken the strongest hearts. Yet here you stand, not empty, but carrying something eternal in your spirit. While others only saw your struggle, heaven saw the making of a warrior. While others whispered about your pain, heaven was writing your strength into existence. This weapon that has been placed inside you, it is not for the many. It is not for the careless. It was not handed out freely to crowds that would waste it. It was entrusted to the few, to those heaven could trust with storms, to those who would not run when the night grew cold. To those like you, Capricorn, who would keep walking even with trembling hands, because somewhere deep inside, your spirit refused to break. And this is the secret only heaven knew, that the battles you thought would destroy you were actually the fire that made you indestructible. Capricorn, you were never ordinary. And this weapon within you, it was heaven's promise that your story would never end in defeat. The weapon that isn't made of steel. Capricorn, listen carefully, because what I'm about to tell you explains why your life has felt so different. The weapon inside you, it is not made of steel, not shaped by human hands, not something you can hold like a sword or shield. It is far greater than that. This is why people have looked at you and didn't understand your strength. They saw you go through storms and expected you to break, but instead, you rose again. They saw doors close, thinking you would collapse in defeat. But somehow, you found another way. It confused them because they couldn't see what was carrying you. They didn't realize there was something within you that no earthly battle could destroy. Capricorn, this weapon was forged in places no one else could follow you. It was shaped in the dark nights when you prayed for answers and heard only silence. It was formed in moments when people turned their backs on you. When life handed you disappointment after disappointment. But instead of turning cold, your spirit grew stronger. This weapon is not visible to the human eye, yet it shifts things in the physical world. It gives you the kind of calm that doesn't make sense when everything around you is falling apart. It allows you to speak words that carry weight, even when your voice is soft. It gives you peace in the middle of storms where others only feel fear. Capricorn, this weapon was born through rejection, yet it carries the full acceptance of heaven itself. It is the reason your presence can change the atmosphere in a room without you saying much at all. It is the light that follows you when you walk into dark places. It is the reason some people feel comfort around you while others feel exposed, because what comes from heaven reveals what comes from shadows. And perhaps most powerful of all, this weapon carries faith that does not crumble when life becomes uncertain. When others panic, you somehow find the strength to stand still. When the path ahead disappears, you have learned to keep moving forward anyway. This weapon was not given to make you untouchable. It was given to make you unshaken. No one can steal it, no one can break it, and no one can explain it because it doesn't come from this world. It comes from the one who knew you would face battles too great for human strength alone. Capricorn, this weapon isn't made of steel, but it wins wars steel could never win. Why others feel it, even when they can't see it. Capricorn, have you noticed it? You walk into a room and without saying a single word, people turn their heads. Some look at you with quiet respect, others with unexplainable curiosity. And then there are those who seem uneasy for reasons they themselves cannot name. They don't understand it. They can't put it into words, but they feel it. It is not your clothes, not your face, not even your status. It is the invisible weapon heaven placed inside you, a presence that cannot be taught, a strength that cannot be faked. You carry something that moves beyond the surface. It is not loud or showy, yet it speaks before you open your mouth. It carries authority without aggression and influence without demanding attention. Some people call it energy, others call it aura. But Capricorn, what they are feeling is the weight of heaven resting upon your life. This weapon does not need to shout to be heard. It does not need to fight to win. It simply exists. And its very existence unsettles what is false and strengthens what is true. That is why when you arrive, people react in ways they cannot explain. Some feel drawn to you because your presence carries safety. Others feel jealous because your spirit exposes the emptiness in theirs. Some admire you quietly because they sense something rare, something unshaken by the chaos of this world. Light always reveals what darkness tries to hide. And Capricorn, you carry that light. It is why certain people avoid you even though you have done nothing to them. It is why some talk about you when your back is turned. Your very presence uncovers what they tried to keep buried. But it is also why broken hearts feel peace when you speak. Why children feel safe around you. Why strangers tell you things they have never told anyone. Because the weapon inside you is not there to destroy. It is there to reveal, to protect, to guide, and to transform. Capricorn, others feel it, even if they cannot see it. Because what comes from heaven can be hidden from the eyes, but never from the soul. The battles that proved you had it. Capricorn, think back for a moment. Go through the story of your life in your mind. The quiet nights when tears stained your pillow, the mornings when you rose to face a world that gave you no answers, the days when you carried weight no one else could see. Remember the betrayal that cut deep, the people you trusted, who turned their backs and left you bleeding in silence. That moment should have broken you. It was meant to break you. Think of the storm that came out of nowhere. The one that hit so hard it felt like you would never stand again. The voices around you said you were finished. Life whispered it was over. And the loss, oh, the loss that felt final. The kind of loss that takes the color out of your days and leaves you questioning if there is anything left worth holding on to. But look at you now, you are still here, still breathing, still moving forward when everything around you expected you to collapse. Capricorn, this is the proof. Every battle you survived was not just pain, it was evidence. Evidence that heaven placed something inside you that no fire could burn out, no storm could wash away, no darkness could kill. Others looked at your life and saw only what happened to you. They never understood what was happening inside you. They saw the tears, but they didn't see the strength growing behind them. They saw the doors close, but they didn't see how faith kept you walking. They saw the losses, but they didn't see how heaven was building something eternal in your spirit. Capricorn, this weapon inside you, it revealed itself every time you rose from the ashes. Every time you found peace in chaos. Every time you kept loving when you had every reason to turn cold. People wondered how you made it through what destroyed others. They shook their heads because it didn't make sense. It didn't have to. Because what you carry was not given by people. It was not shaped by this world. Heaven gave it. And because heaven gave it, no human hand, no betrayal, no loss, no storm will ever have the power to take it away. Capricorn, your survival was never luck. It was the weapon at work. What this weapon actually does. Capricorn, this weapon inside you was never given for decoration. It was not placed in you so you could simply carry it as a title or a story to tell. No, it was given for purpose. Deep, eternal purpose. This weapon works in silence when you are not even aware of it. It breaks chains that words could never break. Chains of fear, chains of doubt, chains of cycles that ran through families for generations. It steps into places you have never been and fights battles before you even arrive. It silences lies without you raising your voice. When people spoke against you, when they tried to twist your name, this weapon moved like the wind. It shifted things in ways you couldn't see, but later realized saved you from traps set in secret. It opens doors no human hand could open. Even when people locked them, even when they formed walls to keep you out, this weapon carried keys forged in heaven itself. Suddenly opportunities rose from places that once rejected you. Suddenly paths appeared where the ground had only been dry and empty before. And it lifts you, Capricorn, when others fall under the same weight. Where people crumble from pressure, you rise. Where people lose hope, you keep walking. Not because you are stronger on your own, but because this weapon carries a strength not of this world. Some people look at your life and call it luck. Others call it grace. Some call it favor. A few who see deeper call it spiritual authority, the kind that shifts atmospheres when you speak, the kind that moves obstacles when you pray. But heaven calls it something more sacred. Heaven calls it the mantle. It is a trust, a responsibility, a sign that heaven chose you to carry what others could not handle. A sign that you were marked not just to survive life, but to shape it, to bring light into places that were too dark for too long. Capricorn, this weapon changes things, quietly, powerfully, permanently. Why not everyone received it? Capricorn, this weapon inside you is rare. Not because heaven ran out of blessings, not because there were no more gifts to give, but because not everyone could carry what you carried. Many people want the crown, but they run from the crushing that comes before it. They want the reward, but not the responsibility that comes with it. They pray for strength, but they do not want the seasons that build it. They admire the light, but they are not willing to walk through the darkness it takes to find it. Capricorn, you were different. You stayed when others walked away. When the nights grew cold and the road became lonely, you kept moving forward. When life whispered to give up, you held on. When voices around you spoke doubt, you chose to believe. This weapon was not handed to the loudest person, nor to the one who wanted attention. It was given to the one who endured what others ran from, the one who did not quit when the weight felt too heavy, the one who cried but still kept walking. That one, was you. Some people saw your life and thought you were unlucky because of the storms you faced. They didn't realize those very storms were the training ground for what you now carry. Others looked at you and wondered why your path seemed harder than theirs. They didn't understand heaven was trusting you with what it could not trust everyone with. Because this weapon requires more than talent. It requires character. It requires faith when nothing makes sense. It requires a heart that does not turn bitter, even when it has every reason to. Capricorn, this is why the weapon rests upon you and not them. It was not about who wanted it. It was about who could be trusted to carry it, without using it for pride, without wasting it on selfishness, without letting it be silenced by fear. You endured the breaking so heaven could give you the building. You survived the crushing so heaven could place the crown. That is why this weapon is yours, and only yours. How to use what heaven gave you. Capricorn, this weapon inside you was never meant to sit in silence, hidden and unused. It was not placed within you for decoration or for pride. Heaven gave it for purpose, and purpose requires action. This weapon works best when you walk in alignment with heaven's voice. Not the voice of fear. Not the voice of doubt, not the noise of people's opinions, but the still, guiding voice that speaks to your spirit in the quiet hours of the night. The voice that whispers strength when your own strength feels empty. Capricorn, use this weapon to speak life when others speak fear. When people gather and only talk about what's going wrong, speak about what can be made right. When hopelessness fills a room, let your words plant seeds of courage. Because this weapon carries authority. When you speak hope, it doesn't just sound nice, it actually shifts the atmosphere around you. Use this weapon to pray over your family when others give up. When generations before you struggled with the same pain, the same losses, the same chains that seemed unbreakable, you now carry what they did not have. Your prayers are not empty words. They carry the weight of a spirit armed by heaven. Use it to break cycles that ran through your bloodline like uninvited storms. Cycles of fear, cycles of poverty, cycles of brokenness that seem to repeat again and again. This weapon was placed in your hands so the story would not end the same way it began. And remember this, Capricorn, this weapon was never given just for you. It was given for everything connected to you, your family, your children, your community, even people you have not met yet. When you carry light, it spreads further than you realize. Every time you pray, every time you speak faith instead of fear, every time you refuse to repeat the same mistakes of yesterday, you are using the weapon heaven gave you. You are changing things in ways even you cannot see yet. Capricorn, this is how you use it. With faith, with courage, with the understanding that you carry something greater than yourself. Something heaven trusted you with for the sake of many, not just for one. The future this weapon will build. Capricorn, this weapon inside you was never meant to stay silent. It was never meant to remain hidden or unused. It was placed within you to change the course of your life and the lives connected to you. This weapon will open paths you never imagined existed. Roads you thought were closed forever will suddenly make way for you. The same places that once rejected you will be the very doors that open wide when the time is right. Where others see walls, you will see gates swing open, because this weapon carries the authority of heaven itself. It will turn enemies into witnesses. The people who doubted you, the ones who laughed, who whispered, who said you would never rise, they will watch as everything meant to harm you becomes the very ground where your victory stands tall. They will see the hand of God shaping your story in ways no one can deny. Capricorn, this weapon will break cycles that haunted generations before you. Where your family walked through years of pain, years of disappointment, years of silent battles, the weapon you carry will stop what should have continued. It will plant light where there was only darkness. It will bring peace to places where only storms existed before. And it doesn't stop there. This weapon will build a future overflowing with blessings your mind cannot fully picture yet. The same life where you once fought to survive will become the life where others come to you for strength, for guidance, for hope. The battles of yesterday will not be wasted. They will become the stories you tell, the testimonies that inspire, the proof that storms do not last forever, but the strength they build does. Capricorn, the nights of fear will give birth to mornings filled with clarity. The tears you cried in private will water seeds that grow into a harvest of joy, favor, and open doors. Because heaven never gives a weapon without a war to win, and your victory, Capricorn, will not be small. It will speak across generations. It will touch lives you do not even know yet. It will leave a mark that time itself cannot erase. Capricorn, the weapon you carry is not like anything this world has ever seen. It does not break lives, it builds them. It does not bring fear, it brings courage where fear once lived. It does not create chains, it shatters them, so freedom can flow where there was once only captivity. This weapon does not need to roar to be powerful. It works in silence, in prayer, in faith, in moments when the world thinks nothing is happening, yet everything is changing behind the scenes. So the next time life rises against you, when storms gather like they have before, when people doubt you or situations seem too heavy, remember this truth. You are not empty-handed. You are not standing alone. You carry something heaven itself placed within you, something no human hand can remove, no enemy can steal, no darkness can silence. This weapon is your divine mark. It is proof that you were chosen to rise when others fell, to build when others gave up, to shine when the night refused to end. Capricorn, write this in the comments as your declaration of faith. I carry heaven's weapon. Write it so every storm that comes sees it. Write it so every shadow knows you are not afraid. Write it so your own spirit remembers on the hard days what heaven trusted you to carry. And if this message spoke to your soul, stay connected. Subscribe, share it with someone who needs hope, and prepare your heart. Because the weapon heaven gave you, Capricorn, is not just for survival. It is about to open doors, rewrite stories, and bring victories you have not even prayed for yet. Your future is about to change, because what you carry was never ordinary. It was always divine.